coming at you. We are Clips and Dip coming at you live after that game one loss to the Phoenix Suns. I am William Updike, joined as nearly always by Charles Mockley.
Yes, man. I don't know how I'm feeling right now. I'm a little bummed out, obviously, watching myself on the live right now to make sure we're doing good, but this was a weird ass game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're also watching on the stream, Will and I are in the exact same room. We're just 90 degrees separated from each other because of the angles. So we're doing, I don't know. Clippers lose 123-109 in Phoenix. They split the series. All things being equal, how are we feeling?
You know, I mean, like, I feel like the game that was the barrage from the Suns was bound to come.
Right.
It was just a matter of when. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it just because I feel like I did feel like it was there, the win.
Absolutely. The win was totally there. Like, you look at these numbers. If you didn't watch the game and you just look at the box score, and you see that the Suns shot 59% from the field, 42% from three. You know, they won by 14, but I think it was closer than that, right? Like, it was closer than a 14-point loss for the Clippers. But we just, like, the role players killed me in this one, man. It was a nightmare from everyone who wasn't Kawhi or Russ or Terance, but he only got 3 shots up. It was a efficiency nightmare from the Clippers tonight.
Well, this was the question, right? Is what would it look like when Kawhi got some more aggressive looks? What would it look like when he was seeing doubles, when the Suns were playing a little bit more physically? And I think in another world where we're able to knock down some of these shots, it's a little different.
Totally. Like, I mean, Nico, we talked about a little bit a couple of games ago, but, like, the Nico roller coaster is real. He was 0 for 4 from 3 tonight, which is borderline inexcusable. Gordon was 4 for 9. There were some bad decisions in there, but the percentage is great. But, like, Norm 0 for 3 from 3. That's not even enough threes for me to really get upset at Norm. Bones 0 for 4 from 3. Like, I don't know. I don't want to cut this as dry as I think it is, but I think it really just was our role players didn't hit shots, and the Suns role players did hit shots. Torrey Craig, again, 5 for 8 from 3. Kevin Durant didn't make a 3 in this game. This is such a weird game, and I think it's indicative of just truly how weird this series is. Like, going to be, right? Like, none of these last 2 games kind of make a lot of sense if you just look at the box scores.
Yeah, no, I agree. This was just a rough one all around, especially just given the performances that they got out of, Durant and Booker and even CP3 in this one.
He was pissed off. Yeah, CP3, I think. Dude, the first half CP3 was night and day from second half CP3. First half CP3 was not confident. He didn't seem like he was feeling any of his usual tools. And then second half, he got that comfortability. And it just, like, and we were kind of doomed from that. And the Suns split up their bench rotation.
Yep. Like,
Shamet played 13 minutes. Bismack played 14, but that was kind of partly due to DeAndre Ayton foul trouble. Okogie played 15. TJ Warren, Damian Lee, Ishran Wright kind of completely out. Jock Lawndale, a DNP. I would have loved to have gotten the second game just to put more pressure on Monty to figure out these rotations. But I'm hoping that Ty Lue's adjustment game is better than Monty's coming back to LA.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And the thing is like, even with the Suns shooting nearly 60% from the floor, this one was still right there.
It was right there. We had it the whole time. Not the whole time, but, like, close.
Yeah.
The Suns made 31 shots outside of the paint tonight. And that's a lot. Like, the mid-range mafia for the Suns, as much as I hate that stupid nickname, was very much in effect. And I just like, I don't know, I'm disappointed because this one was right there for the Clippers, right? But like I said in the beginning, a split, if you're the road team on these 2 games, is the ideal, like the most realistic ideal result is coming back to LA with 1 game in our pocket.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just messing with the stream.
What are you looking at?
I'm just messing with the stream to test it out a little bit. Sorry, this is a new setup for us. But yeah, no, look, I think that I got a little bit overly confident in thinking that we could put this one away.
Sure.
We could go up to like 2-0. But that was a high order. It was always going to be a high order as the lower seed against this Suns team that's so highly favored. But yeah, it's still a little rough.
I'm just not sure. We got some comments on the stream. Max Humanzor says, not mad about being 1-1. Just hurts knowing we have the roster to be up 2-0 on the Suns. I totally agree with that, Max. I also think even without PG, we have this roster to be up 2-0 on the Suns, which should give us a lot of confidence coming back to LA. I think Joseph Fryer Ward posted these a couple weeks ago. But if you look at Nick Batum's like home and away 3-point shooting splits, it's kind of insane. Like Nick Batum shoots way better at home from 3, so that should help the Clippers out when we come back. Like we need a friendly environment. It's just, it was right there. Like it was there. Like the first half, we bullied the Suns. The intensity on defense was huge for the Clippers, and then it just kind of felt back like, I don't know. Like we went small. Like we went so tiny in this game at one point. Like it was like Kawhi, Bones, Man, Norm, and like I think Eric Gordon at the 1 or whatever. And like that felt like we're throwing whatever we can at the wall to see if it sticks with.
Yeah. No, I agree. There was rotationally some questionable moves in this one. And again, I do feel like while Russ was way more efficient, just in the terms of some of the other guys that you would have liked to see shots get up weren't really there. You know, Terance Mann taking only 2 threes. Norm only took 3, didn't hit a single one, but just with some of the extra bodies that Kawhi was seeing, I think it would have been nice to just see some higher attempts in some of those areas.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a weird. We talk about the Clippers and Phoenix and this math problem, right? Of like how the Clippers take so many more threes, and that's a big advantage. Well, tonight we made 11, they made 10. We took 6 more than they did. The game's a lot different if the Clippers, if Batum hits one of those 4, right? Like if Gordon hits, like more than, like he went 4 of 9. I take that back. If Norm hits 1 3, if Bones hits 1 3, we're in a lot different. I also like Bones Highland. I love the confidence. I don't know if it's misplaced, but like for a team that is this Clippers talent level, right, which is a finals level team, Bones' confidence is like Oklahoma City Thunder level. If you know what I'm talking about, right? Like Bones, I love the aggression, but I think it needs to be reeled in a tiny bit to be super effective for the Clippers in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely fair. But you look at like other than 3-point attempts, which I still think should have been higher. Like taking only 6 more than the Suns is just not going to get it done, and it doesn't help that they were higher.
Yeah, we should have been at 40. Like we should have been at 43s. We had, I think, like 13 in the first quarter. Like
yeah, we were on pace early, but I do like that we got to the line a lot more. We did exploit that advantage, which is one of those things that the Clippers have going.
Shout out Scofo.
31-14 advantage attempt, like in attempts there for the Clippers. But yeah, it's just weren't able to fully capitalize on it. And I do feel like this was the game where we just didn't get all those extra pieces. We didn't see that depth on full display. That thing that we hope can kind of balance out some of the top tier talent for the Suns and tilt the series in the Clippers way, right? We just didn't get that advantage. We didn't see that.
Is the fact that it was such a big valley, no pun intended, kind of a relief? Like the fact that all the role players were kind of bad this game, is that any kind of thing to take away from? Like, we can't expect them all to be this bad for the next, hopefully, couple of games for the Clips, right?
I think it just depends on how the rest of the series goes, right? Because I thought after game one with the Suns, just with as few games as they've had together, right, that it would be I thought the likelihood of us getting simultaneous 30-point games out of both Durant and Booker would be kind of unlikely.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you take the aggregate, they essentially, if you take the mean, they essentially got there tonight. And it still felt close for a lot of the games. So I think that, the combination of those two things, right? Like the role players not really playing up to what we know they can, along with the Suns' top tier talent absolutely hitting. I do think that does say something good. That we did absorb a pretty solid punch there. It's just
their biggest punch, I think, right? Like you look at the minutes total. KD played 44 minutes.
Book he did last game too.
Minutes. Chris Paul played 38. Like this team the Suns are already against the rope, being tied 1-1 with the Clippers. I think.
You think so?
I think with this minutes load, they are like, dude. Like if this series is, I'm not going to pretend like I didn't say it. I said I picked the Suns in 7, but if the Suns are going to win in 7, KD has to average as many minutes, if not more, than Kawhi Leonard. Same with their 3 other, with Book and Ayton. We have a little more to go against this top-heavy Suns team. We got a question on the live. Your boy Greg said, "Why do we think more threes would help rather than take more easier shots like in the mid-range?" Which is a great question. Shout out Greg. But
just from the mid-range efficiency standpoint,
that's Kawhi's area.
You have Kawhi, and outside of that on this Clippers team, who are you really trusting to take a lot of those shots? Whereas with the Clippers, they have a lot more guys who are kind of established in that area. And I think, if the Clippers are going to win this series, it kind of has to be a death by 1,000 cuts type of thing.
Literally and figuratively.
we have to get these other guys going, and we have to get them going in spots where they're comfortable, right? So I agree with what Greg is saying there in terms of it's not a shot that's generally as highly contested, but as far as personnel for what we have, it's not really.
We're designed for paint and spray. Yeah, we're designed for again, you go back. If Nico 0 for 4, Bones 0 for 4, Norm 0 for 3, those 3 guys combined to go 0 for 11 from 3.
Well,
that is absolutely insane.
Only 3 attempts from deep from Norm. I think you can take it either way. You can take it as it's a positive sign in a game like this, where for much of this game, it was much closer than the final score of 109 to 123 really indicated. Or you can take it as, what is it going to take for us to get Norm really going? Because only 11 attempts overall for Norm, I don't think that's really going to get it done. And I know that the Suns, what they were bound to do, right? One of the better adjustments they could make was really tightening their rotation to limit that disparity. And so who knows? Maybe this minute load on their big 4 or 3 or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, what is it?
Maybe that does end up making a difference later on in the series, right? When they've been playing all these heavy minutes, especially, if this thing goes to say 6 or 7 games. But yeah, you got to find a way to get more involved.
And part of me is we got to talk the drop coverage, because I don't think that's changing.
So we talked about this a little
bit,
in our preview yesterday with Carl Tart, and I said, what are we going to do if the Suns are able to exploit this drop coverage a little bit more? And I think that's what we saw in this game.
100%.
Especially
100%.
Especially with some of the attempts from deep. I think that it's a little bit different if they're getting into a spot where it's in the mid-range, because even though they are very efficient there, it's still only 2 points. And I think that just that minor difference, that's the difference between a tight win and a 14-point loss over the course of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. This is the perfect encapsulation of the series, right? Like if you go to NBA.com and you look at the shot chart for the Phoenix Suns, their mid-range shot chart, there's a lot more green circles than red X's for it. And for the Clippers, it was for the most part threes and then outside of the paint twos for Kawhi, and that was about it. We were cold from three. They were hot from their small amount of free throws that they usually take, and they were above average from the mid-range. So this is a game where you kind of just it's not a throwaway game, obviously, but you just got to tip your hat and move on. Because this is a game where both teams game planned well for each other, and the Clippers, our role players, couldn't get it done. The plan worked for both teams, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just our guys couldn't execute who were Kawhi, Terance, and Russ.
Another kind of interesting thing on the margins or on the outside is we saw 0 Doc Landale in this one. It was all Bismack Biyombo in those backup center minutes. And he didn't attempt a free throw. We kind of moved away from hacking Biyombo and really making him work for those things at the line. And don't get me wrong, he only ended with 6 points. Definitely wasn't the entire difference in a 14-point loss. But it's just another one of those things. I think the other big thing is
we had Ayton in foul trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. And, when they went smaller with KD at the 5, I really think we didn't take advantage of that well enough.
That was weird. Are we going to see more of that? I don't know. I'm also we can't do this tiny line. I've been biting my tongue. I'm going to bite it until the Clippers finish their postseason, unless they win a championship, in which case I won't say anything. But the fact that we now have 2 wings that are unplayable in Ty Lue's eyes. Marcus Morris, who I would say fairly is unplayable because of his defense right now. And then Robert Covington is unplayable because Ty Lue has decided that. Those decisions killed us in a game like this. Where Marcus Morris, if maybe you make that switch out with the team sooner in the starting lineup, he can get his confidence on the bench. He can do his mid-range shot creation. He can take those contested threes and be good. And we can put him in a playoff game where maybe things aren't working. Rocco, you give him some normal run during the regular season instead of this peak and valley of DNPs and playing, and we can see how he works for a throw some things at the wall situation. Instead, we have Kawhi at the 5 and then 4 very small guards to go out there, and we're trying a new thing for the first time. And it's just I think tonight was a very small glimpse into how some of the decisions earlier in the year may impact the Clippers. Because we were supposed to be Wingstop, right? What did you call us? We were Olive Garden. Yeah. The Clippers are Olive Garden right now, and that is not what we were designed to play. The fact that whatever you want to think about Marcus Morris, the fact that he's getting DNPs and Roka getting DNPs is a sign of a larger mismanagement of this roster than anything else, I think, from Ty Lue.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I like Ty Lue, but tonight was the perfect example of, I wonder how come the Clippers don't play more wing-heavy lineups. The answer is Ty Lue. That's the only real answer.
Well, and also, I don't think the defensive intensity was there at the same level in this one. We didn't do as good of a job crashing the glass. We didn't do as good of a job hustling out extra possessions. I mean, the Suns, I believe, they had about 5 extra field goal attempts than us. And being what I would expect to be a more efficient team, given their top tier.
The Suns? Yeah.
Yeah, given their top tier talent. I just don't think that's going to get it done.
I think you're totally right, dude.
I don't think there's going to be many games where we lose, where they attempt more shots from the floor and we somehow get a win out. Like I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. Like unless we go on an insane tear from three or something in some game, which certainly wasn't this game.
It might be. It's going to be one of these home games. There's going to be games 3 or game 4. We know the crowd's going to be rocking. Like, I'm hoping, and I would not be wildly surprised if the Clippers go 45% from 3 in one of these next 2 games from home. Just because, like this is that peaks and valley team right now is what it feels like.
So, how much more crucial is it now for the Clippers? Like, what does it mean if they split these home games?
If we split the home games and we go back to Phoenix 2-2 for game 5, I think that a longer series.
And it's a bet. I mean, at that point, it's a best of 3.
It's a best of 3 with 2 of the games in Phoenix, right? A longer series benefits the Suns. Somehow the Suns have less continuity than the Clippers, which is very difficult to do if you're an NBA team over the past couple of years. But the Suns somehow have less continuity than the Clippers do. So it only benefits the Suns, which breaks my heart, obviously. But, like, the Clippers got to win both these games. Yeah. I have no doubt in my mind that the fans are going to lose their damn minds. I wish so badly that game 4 was a goddamn 7 p.m. game and not a brunch battle. That would really help us out. But the Clippers have to win these next 2 games to win this series, I think. Like I just think that's how it is. Like you can't give the Suns a best of 3 with a game being at home.
So that's the thing too. I guess that's a little bit worrying about this is I feel like offensively, well, actually defensively as well, the Suns looked a lot more put together in this game 2 than they did in game 1. And I think if it gets into game 6, game 7, it starts to get a little bit scarier as to what that looks like. I'm curious, and this is a bit of a tangent. How do you feel about Paul George and his possible return after seeing him actually moving today?
Oh, right. He was moving around and hitting those shots. I think that if I'm going to be totally honest with you, I don't think Paul George is going to return in the first round. I just don't think that's going to happen. But if it goes to 7 games, because then we get extended, there's only 1 2-day break for this Clippers Suns first round series, which is complete bullshit, as we've talked about before on Clips and Hit. It would not surprise me if they were just like, fuck it, Paul George is coming back for game 7. That would not surprise me. Because if it's 3-3 and we get past the Suns and then we have to play, I assume, is Denver Nuggets, which if you're a real Clippers fan, you know, difficult test. Like, I don't know, he looked great in that pregame footage. Like, he was actually moving around. He was wearing some weird chest harness where people.
Oh, it's a heart rate monitor.
Sure. Okay.
That's just a heart rate monitor.
I'll take your word for it.
It's clearly a heart rate monitor.
I've been to Orange Theory. I'll take your word for it. I think he's closer than 60%.
Do you think he's closer than it's completely out of the question for this series, which is kind of what we were told?
I do. I think he's close. So the Clippers historically are. They just don't talk about stuff. Like they're
liars.
They're like the Clippers are your friend who you see just like throwing a rock at another rock, and you're like, "Are you okay, man?" And they're like, "Yeah." And you're like, "Okay, well, it doesn't seem like you're okay at all. It seems like there's a bunch of weird shit going on." The Clippers aren't going to say anything about PG's injury unless they give him clearance to talk about it on his very boring podcast. But I think he's closer to coming back. Like, I mean, I flipped in like 48 hours. He's actually moving around in this footage. Like, this is, if it goes to 7, I would love to see Paul George come back just to fuck with Monty Williams, because I don't think Monty Williams is prepared for Paul George to come back at all. I don't think the Suns are either. I think the Clippers win game 7 if Paul George comes back.
Yeah, so we got some comments over on YouTube. Thank you for everybody who's watching over there. AF892 said Covington needs to play in these games. Look, I
agree, but
as far as Covington specifically, I have some questions about what he can bring. Just because we haven't seen it, just to be perfectly honest, and it's not even an indictment on him.
No, but it's an indictment on his DNP.
It is an indictment on his DNPs. You already talked about some of the 4-guard lineups, so I'm not going to dig too much more. I'm not going to dig too much more into that. Max Umanzor, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, shout out Max. He's been a fan since Lockdown Clips.
But he said if Book has to put up close to 40 points each game to beat us, I believe we'll take this series. Yeah,
if Book's doing it and KD isn't, I agree. Like 100%.
And I think that would be solid game planning too. I don't think we did as good of a job keeping the ball out of KD's hands in this one. It was also just a situation though where they started seeing some go down, and then I kind of felt like even when shots were well contested,
yeah,
they were going to go down.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean that goes back to like that's where that mid-range shit kills you. As you see Chris Paul take that dribble, the stop, the fadeaway, and it's in. You're just like you just felt like it was going in. The Suns also needed this game a lot more than the Clippers did for a lot of obvious reasons. You got to know too. It's going to be a nightmare. But I do like that comment. Like, yeah. Oh, X Mongo Project. Shout out X Mongo Project. Fans from Stockholm Clips. What's up with Nico? Fair question. He's been bad.
You talked about the Nico roller coaster, which I think, just in case anybody missed it, just recap your theory here, because it's similar to Reggie.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up Nick Batum's stats right now. Going live is fun because I feel like there's more time for you. Like I'm pulling his stats, and people are like, "Wait, I'm actually pulling his stats."
Andres actually has a comment that I think is pretty interesting here too. While you're looking up those stats, Andres said, I don't think Ty wanted to show his cards in this game and threw out a BS 4-guard lineup as a decoy attempt to an adjustment.
I don't know, man. I hope
you're right. But
we saw Ty Lue play Reggie Jackson, Luke Kennard, and John Wall, and they just ran the fuck off the court, and we still saw it. So I would love for that to be true, but I don't think it's true. Okay, here's Nick Batum.
This team is Olive Garden.
Dude, here's Nick Batum's last however many games from 3. Tonight versus the Suns, 0 for 4. The other night versus the Suns, 1 for 3. The other night against the Suns to end the regular season, 0 for 2. Trailblazers, April 8th, 3 for 5. Lakers, April 5th, 1 for 7.
So it seems like he's due for an up game.
Just wait. Pels, 0 for 1. Grizzlies, 0 for 3. Grizzlies again, 1 for 5. Bulls, 8 for 10. Pelicans, 4 for 6. We have no idea what Nico's going to give us, which is brutal. Because he was the model. He was like a real 40% three-point shooter, where you would get like 10 games with like 3%, or like 3 for 5.
In his defense,
I don't know, man. It's been heavier lately.
I agree with you in terms of the heaviness, because obviously every game matters so much. I think that any sample size outside of 4 attempts for Nico is a little bit difficult to judge.
But that's what he's getting in the playoffs, right? Like his attempts were going to go down in the playoffs because that's just how playoff basketball works. So like you just got to make one, man. Like
yeah.
I
agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%.
He's 1 for 7, which is just brutal. And we got to talk about Eric Gordon. The man was 4 for 9 from 3, which is great, but 4 for 12 overall. Didn't make a single 2-point and had 4 fouls. Like, am I crazy to think that? Like,
a couple of those were soft. That's
fair. The refs didn't know what a foul was or wasn't to open this game. It was insane. It went both ways. Is it crazy to think that Terance replaces EJ in the starting lineup at some point in the series? If the Clips lose game 3 and Eric Gordon isn't efficient, is it crazy to think Terance Mann comes in that starting lineup?
No, I don't think that's crazy at all. I'm actually not that. I'm not mad at that.
The thing that gets me is that Terance has been a little rough with the turnovers. Terance.
They're just,
he was 3 for 3, but he made some bad decisions.
So I think that's been the biggest shift that we've seen from Terance play-wise from the regular season to the playoffs. Is I do feel like it puts some of the bad decisions on a higher display in a way that I wasn't as critical of the regular season. But the thing that I do appreciate is that we haven't seen him disappear into this kind of like paralysis by analysis that we have seen Terance kind of fall into before in the past.
Yeah.
So that gives me a little bit of hope. But I do agree with I do agree with you that overall, like that some of his decision making is questionable at best.
He's just doing that thing where you can see him figuring out every possibility.
I feel like he's been doing that a little bit less.
I mean, I want him to get back to regular season Terance, because regular season Terance was phenomenal. Are we gonna? Will, did you see the clip of Kawhi and CP3 kind of shoulder bumping after the game?
No.
Go to Twitter right now, and it's like CP3 and Kawhi are just walking past each other, and like they just bump shoulders. And people are like, "Oh, this is an interesting moment post game," and I'm just like, "Yo, Kawhi, we haven't even talked about Kawhi yet. Can we talk about the fact that Kawhi had 31, 8, and 7 with 3 steals? Like, this is for everyone who yells about load management. This is what you get. If you don't like load management, I'm now at the point. If you don't like load management for Kawhi Leonard,
Dude, I have to be honest. If someone like at an airport that was that much shorter than me shoulder checked me, it wouldn't even land on my radar. It wouldn't even land on my radar. I would be like, oh, that dude, he just must have a small field of view too, small eyes. Couldn't see me.
Dude, Kawhi looks so unbothered by it. Like, Chris Paul is just like, go film another State Farm commercial. It's all good. I would prefer to hang with your brother Cliff, but that's where we are. I'm getting the call to go on iHeartRadio. Can you hold our spot for like 10 minutes while I do this radio spot?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk to the fans.
All right, y'all. Let me take some questions from here while I have to fill some time by myself. Let's see what's going on here. Project. I think Nico should take time with his shots. Yeah, it's interesting because he really worked on that release to be, to be so much quicker. And I don't think it's the time to rethink that. I do think the attempts are an issue. I still think that four 3-point attempts for Nico, to me, that's a little low. That's still a little low. All right, let's see what else is going on here. Sorry, I took my glasses off because of the glare. So, TSO Flakes says the audio is echoing. Let me see what I can do about that. Pop in here. All right. Yes, I apologize if the audio is a little garbagey. We're still trying to work out this setup. All right, let's see. AFA92 says, I like what Westbrook has been bringing to this series. Such a big factor. I agree with you. Here's my thing that I've been struggling with is I think like what we got from Russ game 1 was incredible. Him being able to hustle out extra possessions, grab the rebounds. I mean, God, obviously that highlight of him with the block on Devin Booker and throwing it off of him, absolutely masterful. I think the thing I've been struggling with Russell Westbrook on this team is that I don't necessarily feel as though his offensive success is translating to team success. And I'm not saying that that's his fault, right? Especially in a game like this, where we had so many other guys. I mean, to be honest, not really pass the smell test, not really get to where we know they can be. So I'm not going to put that one on Russell Westbrook, but I will say that there has been somewhat of a troubling theme, I would say, of Russ offensive success doesn't necessarily translate to this team's success. So yeah, I don't know about that, but I do agree. Westbrook is a big factor. And I think with Paul George out, doubly so. And I think that that's why it's so important that we figure out like that that we're maximizing him in the ways that we use him, in the ways that we use him best to his benefit. And I think that tonight, honestly, his shot profile, I love for him. Only three attempts from deep. He hit 2 out of 3 of them, which is absolutely incredible. I don't know if you get another game in this series with Russell Westbrook shooting 67% from 3, but if we can, I will absolutely take it. Very efficient overall. Like I said, I think historically so far this season, we haven't necessarily seen Russell Westbrook offensive success translate to team success. But in this game, I'm definitely not willing to saddle him with that burden, because there were just other guys that weren't really able to get it done in that same way. All right, let's see. Your boy Greg, I'm just sad Russell had an amazing bounce back game, 25, 5, and 5, and the bench didn't. Yep, yeah, agree 100%. Would have been a cherry on top with him having this great game and everybody being able to chip in. Max Umanzer, sorry. Playoff Kawhi is real. It's been great watching the series. Yeah, look, this is one of those things that I feel like is going to get lost in this game, because this was an absolutely incredible game from Kawhi, and it's just a bummer that it was in a loss. And I think, I don't exactly know, but I feel like the conversation, nationally or globally, is going to be, that Kawhi needs to do more. And I really don't know how much more he can feasibly do. We've gotten 2 games out of Kawhi that I would say, I mean, if not perfection, they're pretty near for what he does on both ends of the floor. 31, 8, and 7 with 3 steals in this one. I mean, I guess he had 3 turnovers. Only a single foul with 3 steals is absolutely insane. This wasn't, and I feel bad saying this, this wasn't the Kawhi game that was like so incredible that was like, you have to win this. You can't blow a Kawhi game like this. But I will say he's been otherworldly. Ended the season Western Conference Player of the Week, I think, and continues to do that same thing. All right. Let's take some more comments here. Let's see what we got going on. X Mongo Project said Scott Foster didn't perform. Look, I almost tweeted. I almost fell in the same trap as everybody else, tweeting out about Scott Foster reffing this one. But I felt like we were due for a comeback game for CB3. And lest we forget, Scott Foster versus the Clippers isn't always the most favorable. That Nuggets series in the bubble was really not my favorite. Was not my favorite reffing I've ever seen from an official. All right, let's see what else. Throw me some comments, because I'm kind of out on an island here. All right, your boy Greg. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg, for throwing in so many questions. I'm just gonna put that out there. Thank you so much. Your boy Greg said, "Do you think Kawhi would still have these amazing stats if PG was playing Game 1 and tonight?" So that's actually a really interesting question, because I do feel like that has been one of sort of like the issues at times, right, with the 2-1-3 era, is getting both of these guys to kind of hit at the same time. I think it depends. I think, honestly, if it's Kawhi, if it's PG fresh back from injury playing with Kawhi, I think that might change the dynamics a little bit, because I think that things are still a little weird. I think that had PG never gone down with the hyperextended knee, I think that a great PG game doesn't take anything away from a great Kawhi game. And I think that they're able to play off each other, like one another, better, especially just because I don't know how you all feel, but through 2 games, even though it's 1-1, I understand we were a 500 team for most of the season. This has looked very much like a different team to me. What they've been able to do in clutch situations, what they've been able to do in big moments, the way they've approached the game. I know that I had some minor complaints about their defense in this game as compared to Game 1, But overall, this Clippers team has hit another gear. And I know that we haven't seen it all the way through the roster, but the approach to the games and the way that they have been able to step up in the moment, I do think it is a little bit like watching a different team from what we saw through 82 games of this regular season, which was not altogether inspiring. And, that is a little bit of like the ultimate conundrum for the Clippers, right? Can you approach the regular season for 82 games in the way that we did and expect to, win a best of 7 series against a team that is highly favored over you and talent wise, may have the best roster in the West? And I do think what we saw in game 1, and one of the biggest things in the Clippers' favor is, even given, some of that approach to the regular season, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming players. I'm not saying anything. I'm not really big on that. I would say that it was top to bottom. I would say even in the way that like rotations were approached from a coaching standpoint, I would say that there's a lot of aspects of this Clippers team that were kind of treated as though, hey, we're built for the postseason. And I don't think that that's untrue. I still think, even being 1-1 right now, like I don't think that that's necessarily proved to be the wrong approach yet. But I will say, who knows what it looks like given a little bit more time. But long answer to a great short question. I don't think that if PG is here, that diminishes anything from what we've seen from Kawhi so far. I think that these two things can coexist in one series for sure.
All right, I'm back. What did I miss? Shout out Adam Oz on the Clippers pod.
We talked a little bit about what it would look like if Kawhi would still have these amazing games if PG was here, and I said I think that it depends on the injury. Right? Like if he had if he had just come back and they're trying to fit things in, I think it might be a little clunky. I think if he had never gone down with the hyperextended knee, yes, I still think we see these great games from Kawhi, and he gets a little bit more help.
Absolutely. We saw it before he got hurt because of stupid ass Joe Ingles, right? Like we saw the 2-1-3 connection.
Yes.
At the height of their powers before that happened. So yeah, I mean, I think the Clippers are favored in this series. I even think by Vegas if PG is there. So like, I hope we can get it to where PG gets back, because then it's a whole different series.
All right. TSO Flakes wants to know, is Kawhi going to get us over this hump when our other guys aren't chipping in? It seems near impossible. Charles, where you at? Is Kawhi alone enough to get it done? Do you trust in Kawhi enough to get this done?
So I do trust to get this series done. That being said, we need Norm, Bones, and Nico to go better than 1 of 11 from 3. Right? Like, I think Kawhi's going to score like damn near 40 every game. He's the Terminator. He's dealt with his recovery exactly how he wanted. He's performing it even better in the playoffs than he does in the regular season, which is historically something that he just does because he's just incredible. Like, get it done. That's just how it goes. One guy's not going to beat you. It's just we need a little bit of help from the other guys, and I think the home splits will help that.
I agree. Also, I think we got the audio echo thing figured out. Give us one of these if you think we did. All right, let's take some more comments here. Charles, just give everybody the recap of what you talked about with Adam.
I mean, we talked about like basically who the pressure's on. The pressure's on the Suns for sure. We just split at their home with their very boring fan base over in Arizona. Not a whole lot to do. And it's just tough because this Clippers team, we haven't seen like a system this season, right? Like we haven't seen some system where the Clippers ripped off 7 out of 10 and it was like, oh, you know, they got to adjust to whatever these Clippers are doing. So there's this level of uncertainty right now for the Clippers that we don't really know what's going to happen tactically, right? Like it's just one of those things where Monty's making adjustments as fast as he can. I think actually faster than Ty Lue just because he has so much more pressure on him. And Ty Lue is a bit being stubborn with the Morris and Rocco thing. So, like, I don't know. Like, it's just the Clippers need to win that three-point math problem. They need to – if the intensity is not up on the defensive end, if we can't string together stops, we can't get buckets. We saw that late in this game. I think there was 3 minutes left. Clippers were down 6, and their offensive possessions were turnover, missed shot, turnover. They were tired. The Suns tried to track me a little bit in the first part of this game where they were like, the half-court defense for the Clippers was great to open this game. The Suns couldn't even inbound the ball without having some kind of interruption. And then because they were running out, you know, in transition a little bit more, it just got harder for the Clippers. So, yeah, man, they're going to have to maybe steal a little bit of rest for Kawhi. But am I crazy for saying that I'm disappointed that Kawhi didn't play 40? He played 38. I thought he was going to go that full fourth. I think it was a full fourth. I'm going to double check.
It was just until it got out of control at the end.
But I think he sat to open the third. Let me try and find.
No, he might have sat to open the fourth.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm just trying to find the tweet right now. Oh man, Twitter. Also, was Twitter fucking up for anybody else today? Twitter's a goddamn nightmare. He did. You're right. It was the fourth. He didn't go the full fourth. I thought he should have played the full fourth. I didn't really understand the reasoning to him not playing the full fourth. Because I think he was at, what was he at? He was at 30 minutes, and I thought he could have gone the full fourth. I don't think that's too crazy to think.
No, I don't think that's crazy at all.
Man, I don't know. Should we wrap this up soon? Has everyone? I feel like have we exercised? I feel like
we're just getting the kinks worked out on the audio, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, shout out TSO Flakes. Lance the Legend, very pessimistic. Not really worried about it. All right, we got some audio.
Shout out the Legend, you're in the wrong chat. Get the fuck out of here. Boo this man.
Boo this man. I don't know, man. All right, Will, what has to happen for the Clippers? Also, if you're not familiar with the schedule, it's complete horse shit. What has to happen for the Clippers to get a dub in Game 3 back in LA?
Man, I know that it's a lot to ask, but we need more of the same from Kawhi Leonard.
Well, okay, let's put that aside because everyone agrees with that. We need 30 plus from Kawhi. We need him to be the same old thing. Other than Kawhi continuing his otherworldly level of play, what do we need?
Man, we got to win on these two margins where the Clippers have been better, right? Like we have to be the more efficient team from three. Only attempting like 20% or 30% more, like only attempting a small percentage more than them isn't going to get it done. I loved what we did at the line tonight. We got to continue that, but it's got to be efficiency, and we got to see the rest of this talent, right? That isn't the top tier talent, but we have to see the rest of this talent for the Clippers swing the balance in the other way. And who knows if that's going to be possible as rotations shorten, but I think that makes it all the more crucial, even if it's a 90-second spurt, that this team really shows their efficiency and really shows the depth of this talent.
I'm looking for the other end of the ball. I want to see the defensive intensity for 4 quarters. I want to see what we saw in this first half the whole damn time that we're back at Staples Crypto, on Thursday. It is the 420 game. Some guys might come out a little slow. Who knows? Might be both sides. But I want to see better decision-making from Eric Gordon. I want to see Batum getting a hot 3-point shooting night from Batum
I feel like
for Game 3. We have to be. We literally have to be due for that. Like it's been a goddamn nightmare with Batum. And I'm surprised to say that, as shout out Batum Battalion. But that's got to, in Ty Lue, it's like, a lot of people on Twitter were kind of going at Ty Lue for his rotations tonight. But I'm just like, you look at the minutes distribution. Sure, maybe Eric Gordon got a couple more minutes than he should have. Terance still played 25. Like, there wasn't a whole lot he could do. Have we talked about Mason Plumlee yet?
No.
One thing about Mason Plumlee that
get us on Mason Plumlee
that I just kind of want to talk about is like, I went on a kind of a rant on the radio and on the stream earlier about what happens when you like bench Rocco and like take Morris out too late. Plumlee needs to step up offensively, and I'm saying that in the lens of Mason Plumlee. I'm not saying he needs to take like 10 shots a game or anything like that.
He didn't record a shot attempt.
He didn't record a shot attempt this game. Like, I know you're out there to do other stuff, but like, my man, sometimes we just need a bucket. Like, both teams have a lot to figure out. I think the Clippers have less to figure out than the Suns.
Well,
which goes back to my point of the Clippers need to shut this shit down in 5 games. If this goes to 6 or 7, I feel a lot worse about it.
Yeah.
Because it's just more time for a very good coach in Monty Williams to figure things out.
It's interesting just because I thought after game 1, the Suns had all the questions to answer, right?
Totally.
They had so many things to figure out about their rotations. Despite us losing this one, I gotta be totally honest. I don't feel like they answered all those questions.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So I do think that is one of those things that's like really, really
I like that
encouraging for the Clippers.
I like that take.
They got a lot more out of Booker. Yes, they got another solid game out of Durant. Double out of Ayton. But and another, near 20-point performance from Torrey Craig. I would say that overall, like in terms of what I saw from game 1 to game 2, I feel like it was more the Suns' top tier talent, which yes, could end up.
That was predictable.
Could ultimately end up carrying them the day in this series. I don't feel like they really answered all those questions that the Clippers were able to ask.
I agree. I'm honestly, that seems like a good note to leave on. We split 1-1. The Suns still have shit they got to figure out. We had a cold shoe night from the role players. If that goes differently, I think the Clippers get the dub. And we go back 2-0. But it's 1-1. If you're going to the game on Thursday, say what's up. We're both going to be there.
We'll be there.
I think someone in the chat was talking about how the home crowd needs to be big.
Home crowd, come on.
We know they're going to be big. I'm also so excited that he's performing at halftime. I will say this is some deep analytical stats for those out there. The Clippers are 1-0 this season when Too Short gives a shout out to Mac Dre during a performance in between a timeout.
Okay.
And they are 1-0 on the season when Soulja Boy performs at halftime. If either of those two guys are slated for a musical performance, put your money on the Clips. That's all I'm going to say.
People are also interested to know the possible effects of the 420 performance on the Clippers.
The effects on me personally is I will be much more chill about everything. And the effects for the players, hot take, if Jason Preston gets minutes on 420, he's going to go for 15 points. I don't know why. It's just how I feel.
All right, that's a terrible take. All right, let's get the hell out of here.
We're going to be out of here. I think you and Adam are doing a pod tomorrow. I have to work, which is shitty. But we're going to have a preview pod for y'all over on Clips and Dip. Gonna definitely do a post-game double dip on Thursday. We're going to get it figured out. We got content coming for everybody. Shout out to everyone who hung out. This is a good-ass time.
Yeah, this is great.
Can't get this on the podcast, so thanks for hanging on the live.
Yeah, we apologize for the audio. We'll work on that.
I did my best for the audio. I blame Will. But
right. Yeah, it was my
let's go, Clips.